And welcome everyone to our Bleacher Report AP Top 25 Men's Basketball Poll Reaction. Apologize, it is so late here. The Associated Press, for whatever reason, the holiday's over, taking their sweet time to drop the poll, but the poll finally has been dropped here 30 minutes late. So we will get right into it. Don't expect a lot of changes at the top of the poll because the SEC teams, notably Auburn and Tennessee, keep winning. I will tell you that, and I'll get to this momentarily. I was on a big, basically push, as you know, if you've been following us on a weekly basis, about Maryland. Where were the Terps? They weren't ranked the last couple of weeks. I had them at 13 in my Power 37. Well, they went to the Northwest, and it was sort of a put up or shut up, and they didn't have a good weekend. So I still have them ranked in my Power 37, but not in the top 25. Prior to that point, they deserved it. They didn't earn it this past week, losing to Washington and losing to Oregon. And so, that's what happens when you go on the road. Conversely, Illinois, clearly is one of the best teams in the country. Here they are at 13 in the AP Top 25 poll, a 32-point win at Oregon. It was the largest margin ever, not just Big Ten team, ever, of a road team against a top 10 team. So it was unbelievable. I mean, they just absolutely dismantled the Oregon Ducks. Then on Sunday, they beat Washington. So they got a sweep of the Northwest schools, new Big Ten schools, that I question how many people are able to get in the Big Ten. So obviously Washington's down this year, but to go in there and win both games and beat Oregon, very difficult. We saw Maryland, as I said, lost both. So I teased it at the beginning, not a change at the top. Tennessee at 1, Auburn 2, Iowa State 3, Duke 4, Alabama 5. Tennessee is the only remaining undefeated team. That could change. We'll get to the games of the week shortly as to what is upcoming. And so the top 5, all deserving. My top 5, very similar. In fact, it was only the switch at the top because I had Auburn, Tennessee, Iowa State, Duke, and Alabama. Kentucky, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We've got Kentucky, Marquette, Florida, UConn, and Texas A&M. Kentucky, 106-100 over Florida. Unbelievable game. Best game of the weekend. Maybe not best finish. Get to that momentarily. Best game of the weekend. 206 points. Unbelievable. And the Gators certainly deserve plenty of attention for what they've done. That was their first loss of the season. Marquette plays a little on the edge of the Big East, but they keep winning, undefeated. Same with UConn. Got down big to Providence, able to come back. So huge for the Huskies. So you get 2 Big East teams. And then A&M, they just keep winning. They beat Texas, in their sort of new SEC rivalry game. So that's 6 through 10. Me, 6 through 10, Kentucky, Florida, UConn, Marquette, and Illinois. Illinois, number 10 for me. They deserve it. Watch the Illini. They're only going to get better. They're young. They're experienced from Europe. They are going to be not just the favorite now to win the Big Ten, but to potentially get back to the Final Four, at least the Elite Eight. Not back to the Final Four. Get to the Final Four. They got back to the Elite Eight, where they lost to UConn last year in Boston. All right. So Kansas 11, Houston 12, Illinois 13, Mississippi State 14, Oregon 15. Kansas. Yeah, too high. Jayhawks lost to number 21 West Virginia. We'll get to them in a moment. Then they came back and beat UCF. Houston destroyed BYU. I'm back on the Cougars. UC Illinois have heaped all the praise on them. Mississippi State at 14. The Bulldogs obliterated South Carolina. Absolutely crushed the Gamecocks. They are a serious SEC top 5 contender. And then there's Oregon, who lost at home to Illinois and then came back to beat Maryland. I think Oregon's now too high at 15. So let's see what I did, 11 through 15. A&M at 11, Mississippi State 12. I had at 13 Oklahoma, 14 Memphis, 15 Michigan State. Okay. So as you see there, I dropped Kansas. I dropped Oregon. I did have, and Houston was just outside that for me. They were at 16. So I've moved up Memphis. I've moved up Michigan State. And Oklahoma's one loss was to Alabama. But I have A&M and Mississippi State in that range of 11 to 15. Okay. Here's Michigan State, Oklahoma, Gonzaga, Memphis, and Purdue. Michigan State playing as well as any team in the Big Ten right now. It's Illinois, Michigan State. They're the two new favorites to win the Big Ten. So Michigan State definitely should be ahead of Oregon because of the Ducks' performance against the Illini. Oklahoma, I have them in that group above you just heard. I mean, their one loss was at Alabama. That's it, one loss. Gonzaga, I think maybe a little too high at 18. Memphis at 19. I have them that tier above. Beat North Texas. They're the cream of the crop in the American. And then Purdue. Purdue beat Minnesota on the road and Northwestern at home. Braden Smith, by the way, is playing great the last couple of weeks. So my 16 to 20 were Houston, just outside. They were in the top 15 AP. That's fine. Clemson, okay, right now they're 4-0 in the ACC. Purdue, so I have them in that grouping. West Virginia and Kansas. Okay, West Virginia won at Kansas. And they beat Oklahoma State. So, again, this is my soapbox moment for this week. Okay? I know it was a 1-point game. Still, the AP Top 25 poll is a snapshot. Okay? The Mountaineers went into Lawrence last week and won. If that game was 2 months ago, fine. If maybe they weren't playing as well and Kansas was playing better and had better wins since then. But it was last week and it was in Lawrence. Oh, and by the way, Tucker DeVries is not healthy. Javon Small, who we'll get to in a moment as my March Madness National Player of the Week, has been playing great. Transfer. But why is West Virginia 10 spots behind Kansas? Again, it's a snapshot. It's 1 week to this week. That's why I have Auburn ahead of Tennessee, because Auburn's playing better than Tennessee, even though they have the one loss at Duke. So APs 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. West Virginia, UCLA, Ole Miss, Michigan, Utah State. UCLA lost at Nebraska. Ole Miss, the previous week had lost to Memphis, but then this week they beat Georgia. Michigan won at USC, and Utah State, still riding high off that San Diego State win, is undefeated in the Mountain West Conference. So who do I have 21 through 25? 21 through 25. Utah State, Gonzaga, so I slid them down. Michigan, okay, fine. Nebraska, UCLA. Nebraska, UCLA. So here's my second soapbox. Nebraska holds UCLA to under 60 points. The game was in Lincoln. Where are the Cornhuskers? I'm not saying kick UCLA out. I put them at 25. But let's get Nebraska in. Pay attention. Were you watching them in Hawaii winning the Diamond Head Classic? Nebraska should be in the top 25. West Virginia should be ahead of Kansas in the top 25. So these are the two that irritate me this week. West Virginia behind Kansas. Nebraska not in there while UCLA is in. I have Nebraska 24, UCLA 25. And a reminder, West Virginia 19 in my poll, Kansas 20. One spot up of the team they beat. Rest of my poll, Oregon 26, San Diego State 27, Wisconsin 28, Maryland 29 after the rough weekend. Pitt, Panther fans have been all over me. They're in there. Number 30, big game at Duke on Tuesday night. St. John's, 31, had that loss to Creighton. New Mexico, Lobos, best finish by far of the week. Trap against Nevada. They get the turnover. Donovan Dent goes in, loses the ball. Nelly Jr. Joseph finds it loose, hits it at the buzzer. Unbelievable game. One of the best games ever at the Pit in terms of the finish. And it was in the 1,000th game at the Pit. Missouri 33. One loss in the SEC was at Auburn. No shame in that. Baylor 34. Getting close to sliding out. Lost big at Iowa State. Arkansas close to sliding out. Had to go to Tennessee. Vanderbilt 36. What did the Commodores do? They won at LSU. 13-1. And St. Bonaventure. You can check out my interview with Mark Schmidt that I posted on my feed at the Andy Katz on Twitter X. The Bonnies, 14-1. 14-1. They got a big game coming up this week at St. Louis. Dropping out of my poll, Cincinnati lost to Arizona. Georgia, as I mentioned, they lost to Ole Miss. Penn State lost on Sunday to Indiana. Drake, 2 losses now in the Valley. They're losing their at-large chances. And Dayton got drilled at GW. Did consider Indiana, Texas Tech, Georgetown. Ed Cooley's got them turned around. And North Carolina with that crazy ending at Notre Dame. All right, let's go to my team of the week. Go right through this pretty quickly here because I've mentioned it. My team of the week, the Illini, getting that sweep in the Northwest. Player of the week, Javon Small from West Virginia. Had a great week for the Mountaineers. Think about this. So Javon Small at Kansas, 13 points, 11 boards, 6 assists in that 62-61 win in Lawrence. Hit the final free throw with 1.8 seconds left to beat the Jayhawks. Then he followed that up by scoring 24 and grabbing 11 boards in a home win against his former team, Oklahoma State. Because he went East Carolina, Oklahoma State, and now West Virginia. All right, games of the week. A lot of good ones. Hard to choose 10. As you can check out here, heavy in the SEC. Tennessee at Florida. Tennessee undefeated. What will happen when they go to Gainesville? Kentucky at Mississippi State. Mississippi State, way under the radar now. I mean, I know they're ranked, but they're not getting the national attention. This is a great chance for everyone to see them play. Tuesday night, Pitt at Duke. Look, the Panthers could be the second best team in the ACC. This will be very interesting to see how they handle this moment. Keep in mind, John Shire, who did not coach at SMU, and they still won. He was not feeling well. He'll be back on the bench for this game. Michigan at UCLA. That game is on Tuesday. The Wolverines staying out in LA. They won at USC. Now they're going to UCLA. UCLA coming off that road loss to Nebraska. Big game at home for UCLA because their next game, they got to go to Maryland. Michigan trying to get the sweep in LA. San Diego State at New Mexico. That game's on Saturday. Always a great matchup between these two Mountain West teams. The Aztecs losing at home to Utah State. New Mexico 4-0 ahead of them in the standings. Great game at the Pit. A&M at Oklahoma. Okay, Oklahoma, 1 loss now in the SEC at Alabama. A&M undefeated. Turn around, Alabama at A&M. So A&M, if they get a split this week, that'd be great. If they sweep it, great position. But you can just see how hard these SEC games are going to be. UConn at Georgetown on Saturday. Look, the Huskies are playing with fire. Hoya's playing well. They got a good win against Xavier at home. Ed Cooley, Sorber, outstanding big man freshman. Malik Mack. I mean, they got some talent now with the Hoyas. They're playing really well. St. Bonaventure at St. Louis on Wednesday. The Billikens are healthy. Robbie Villa is back. The bespeckled one from Indiana State. So now this would be a massive A-10 win if the Bonnies can win on the road. But St. Louis now playing better and better as they've gotten healthy. And then I love this sleeper game. UC Irvine at UC San Diego on Saturday. The two best teams in the Big West, both undefeated. Tyler McGee from UC San Diego, the Tritons. He's had 20-plus points in 5 straight games. The Anteaters were the favorite in the Big West. So interesting games up this week. All right, let's take a couple quick questions here. You asked about Georgetown. Yeah, look, if they beat UConn, they're going to deserve to not just be my poll, but hovering in that top 25. The Badgers, they did crush Iowa, 21 threes. I think they'll start to get rolling again. Although Monday night, tonight, they're at Rutgers. We're going to learn a lot about the Badgers. West Virginia already beat Gonzaga. So I don't know what you're asking there. I think it's a Washington State ranking. No, don't see it. Why isn't Ohio State ranked? Well, they just lost at home to Michigan State. Illinois is not overrated. They should be number 10. Auburn getting robbed by being 2 versus 1. Well, what are you going to do? Auburn at Texas, I did not have on my game because I'm down on the Longhorns right now, and I think Auburn's going to win on the road. Where is Clemson? Well, they're in my poll. They should be in the top 25. You're right. Why didn't Kansas drop more? Again, I said they should be behind West Virginia. So you're right. Exactly. Oklahoma fell a little bit. Prediction for Kentucky, Mississippi State. On the road in Starkville, I'm going with Mississippi State. But I think it's going to be a great game. Do the Illini have the best guard play? Yakuchanis, Kasparis Yakuchanis. He's got to be one of the best guards in the country right now. No question about it. Trey White, big man, but first of all, they got a lot of guys that play a lot of positions. Why is Kentucky below Duke? Maybe that's because of the loss at Clemson and the way they're playing right now. Maybe. Ohio State, Minnesota. I'm going to go with Ohio State. Arizona, West Virginia. I'm going to go with, I can't remember where that game is. If it's in Tucson, whoever the home team is, I can't remember off the top of my head. How is Michigan State not climbing the poll with their win streak? I think we're going to learn a lot more about the Spartans over the next week if they can continue to win on the road. Vandy is underrated. That's why I'm ranking them. What has Pitt done to be in your Power 37? They're playing very well, and so that's why I finally gave them some love. Does Rutgers get it done tonight? If Dylan Harper plays, I think they can, but if he doesn't, they won't. Tennessee, Florida predictions, I'm going with the Gators, no more undefeated. Villanova, UConn, I like the Huskies. And we're going to go one more question here. If we can get one more in here. When do I believe head-to-head matters? I believe head-to-head matters in the most recent weeks, okay? That's when it matters the most. And the biggest sleeper in the Big East to close it out there is Georgetown. I could have said some other schools lately, but Georgetown right now. All right, as always, follow us at ncaa.com. Bleacher Report, all our college basketball coverage. March Madness MBB. You follow me at the Andy Katz on X and Twitter, at the real Andy Katz on Instagram. Have a great week. Plenty of stuff to digest. Appreciate everyone for engaging. Sorry the poll dropped so late here on Monday. Hopefully that will not be the case going forward. We expected it 1, drop later. Hopefully that won't be the case. Again, final point. West Virginia should be ahead of Kansas. I had 19-20, and there should no question we should definitely have Nebraska in there ahead of UCLA 24-25. That's what I had. All right. That's a wrap. Appreciate everyone.